Good morning, everyone. Our prelude today is called I Claim My Day.
like to do a song now that answers the question, just how beautiful can our lives be? If we dream it, it'll come true. I see joy in every heart. I see peace in every eye. I see hope with every passing and love in our eyes. I see nations joining hands together, building dreams. We're restoring our land, the skies and the sea. And it's good that we can see how beautiful our lives can be. When our lives become the dream becomes our lives. It's the vision that we focus on that finally survives. It's good that we can see how beautiful our lives can be. It's good that we can see how beautiful our lives can be. Life can be simple, life can be free, with love and joy for everyone. It's easy once we see. Living life in harmony, all of us as one. Just think it, and the dream has begun. I see joy in every heart. I see peace in every eye. I see hope with every passing day, and love in all our lives. I see nations joining hands together, building dreams, restoring all the lands, the skies and the sea. It's good that we can see how beautiful our lives can be. How beautiful our lives can be. How beautiful our lives can be.
Oh, it is good to see how beautiful our lives can be. So thank you, Dave De La Rosa, for that beautiful original song that you shared with us this morning. And as every week, thank you to this amazing Unity band that we get to hear. Not only Dave, but Richard and Pete, and today Bill is sitting in for Joel. And one of the things I love about this community is that when we need substitutes for our regulars, the quality does not go down. We keep the high quality musicians, so thank you all for your work here today. Welcome to Unity of the Blue Ridge and to the light and love we share with each other every week. I am Reverend Laura Collins, and this week, Reverend Darlene is taking a long weekend with her partner Tia. They needed to get away for a few days, and so they are. So send them your good wishes and your love wherever they are today. But as I was just saying about substitutes, you will not be disappointed because this morning we have Dr. Garland Landrith with us, and you are in for such a treat. Your mind will be slightly blown, but that's okay. And you'll want to rearrange the rest of your weekend because not only is he with us this morning, but he's going to be doing workshops this afternoon and Monday night and private sessions Monday and Tuesday. So we're really happy to have you here, and you all will be very happy that you're here with him today. So every week we come together and we remind ourselves who we are and why we're here. So let's start by sharing the affirmation that we say each week together. There is only one presence and power active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotence. And our mission here together as a community. We are an inclusive, inspiring spiritual community, embracing our divinity and joyfully evolving together. And with that, let's just take a moment to join together in prayer. So I invite you all to feel your feet on the floor, to feel yourself sitting in the chair, to feel your breath coming in and out of your body, and to rest in this breath. And as you relax into this time and this place, bringing your whole self here, body, mind, and spirit, I invite you to open in gratitude. Open your heart and your mind. Feel the sun streaming in and be aware of this amazing creation of which we're part. As the music floats over and through you, give thanks for your ears, for hearing, for the ability not only to hear the sound around you, but to hear what's calling you. And so we give thanks for this time together, for each person around us, for this place to come together and remember the love and the beauty and the grace that is ours. And so for this time and for this day and for this community and for our lives, we say, thank you, God. And so it is. So let's stand together as we are able and sing that we are welcome here.
Say namaste, I bow to you. Look around in the sanctuary. Feel the love that's shining through.
So don't sit down. Do that in real life. Greet the neighbor next to you with a holy hug or a namaste or a handshake.
Wow, what an amazing band. We are so blessed. Yeah. And thank you, Bill, for joining us today as well. Good morning. My name is Reverend Christy. I'm one of the associate ministers here at Unity of the Blue Ridge. And right at this moment, I would like to ask if there's anybody here for the first time or visiting for the first time in a very long time. Welcome. Welcome. We want to welcome you, and we have greeters. Welcome. So our welcomers are handing you an information card. And if you would like to fill that out, we honor the confidentiality of your contact information. What's greater than that is we have a gift for you just outside of our bookstore. We have a whole packet of information about our community, and we certainly invite you all to join us again and would like to extend this blessing to you. So let us rub our hands together, open our hearts, and send this energy. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. Now I want to take a moment, and we are live streaming, so if you want to turn around and wave to the folks that are joining us out in the greater world today, thank you for joining us. Welcome. And I would like to share with you a few announcements here. First, if you have not yet silenced your cell phone or turned your cell phone off, we would invite you to do that. If you could put it on airplane mode or completely turn it off, that would help us out here. We appreciate that. And then, as was mentioned earlier, we are blessed today to have Dr. Garland Landrith with us. And he's got a workshop this afternoon and another workshop tomorrow evening, and he will speak more on that after he shares with us. Also, this coming Friday is Feed the Kids, where we join with other organizations in preparing meals. This week is our turn. We prepare meals and feed over 300 children in the Henderson County area. So if you would like to participate, either cooking here or transporting food or serving the children, please contact Laura Collins. I saw you here, and Laura Collins, Laura Nelson, you are here. Laura Nelson and Jerry Conley head up that. So if you are interested in that, their contact information is available. Please check out our website. We've got so many more events happening here than what I'm going to blow through right now. So this Friday evening is our summer concert series with Pat Cardwell. The concert begins at 7. If you would like to bring your own picnic-style dinner and join us at 6, you can bring your own beverages, no alcohol, however, and join at 6. Others will be here sharing a meal together, and then the concert begins at 7. And tickets are available in our bookstore. And then also, we are calling all gardeners, anybody willing to pull weeds. It's been a hot, humid, rainy summer, and our labyrinth is in some need for TLC. And we would also like to be using the labyrinth for our World Day of Prayer, so we might as well roll to the next slide. Our World Day of Prayer will be joining with Unity Worldwide Ministries and Silent Unity in a global effort to instill healing consciousness in the world. We'll have a prayer vigil right here in the sanctuary from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So if you would like to participate at any point during that time, please join us for prayer. Prayer is a powerful, powerful thing, and you'll hear more about that as well. So I believe with that, we are aware. Now I'd like to introduce Reverend Laura Collins for our inspirational reading.
Today's reading comes from a book called See You at the House by Bob Benson. I'm not sure exactly what all I think we mean when we say that we are made in God's image. But part of it, I believe, is that the calling voice of God is sounding out in the caves and caverns deep beneath the soil of our souls. And it is by listening and following this call we learn who we truly are and what we can become. So if I do not seem to hear God speak from outside, and if there does not seem to be any message from the sky, then I must listen to the voice that is within. For that voice, too, is the purposeful calling voice of God to us. Not many of us have enough confidence in ourselves to listen to that whispering voice that comes from within. Most of the time, we did not even hear it. But it doesn't matter because we wouldn't trust it. We cannot believe that this inner voice is capable of leading us due north. We seek advice from friends and professionals, disc jockeys and dear abbeys. We flip coins, we take aptitude tests. We do everything but believe that we could possibly have the answers deep within. Now, if God can take a tiny seed and in the process of giving it life, endow it with the knowledge of what it is supposed to be, if God can give it the purpose and strength and fruitfulness to not only accomplish it all, but to perpetuate itself as well, And if God can give it an inner calendar to tell it when all of this is supposed to be done, why is it so hard to believe that God has done the same thing for our hearts? Since God has done this for tomatoes and thistles and beans and dandelions, it shouldn't stretch our credibility so much to believe that God's image in us, the image inherent in the life given to each of us, is calling us to be. The trick is to hear the voice, to believe it, and to trust it.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Ooh, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. Ooh, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one. Whoa, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one.
Rhoda Weaver, it's great to have you back with us. Thank you. So it's my absolute honor to introduce our guest speaker today, Dr. Garland Landrith. Many of you know his work from the movie What the Bleep. How many here have seen that movie, What the Bleep? Wow, cool, cool. And so he's offering workshops this afternoon, and he'll share more about that. He is also known with his work with Deepak Chopra and Neil Donald Walsh, and we are absolutely honored to have his intuitive, brilliant, quantum-loving heart and presence with us today. Please welcome Dr. Garland Landrith.
Thank you so much. Good. Beautiful songs, beautiful songs. Anyway, let's start out for the meditation. So we'll start out by putting our right hand over our heart and the left hand over that. And we'll take a breath into our heart. And releasing. Another breath into our heart. And releasing. Another breath into our heart. And releasing. Now I want you to think of someone or something you feel love towards. It could be your little doggy, your kitty, your munchkins, your significant other. Feel that love. Releasing it into a flow by letting thoughts and noise come and go. My spirit is awakening. I feel my love flowing. I am flowing. My love is flowing throughout the whole universe. Connecting me with the stars and the galaxies. I've got stardust in my soul. The same divine love that created this whole universe is flowing within me. I'm being held in the arms of God. I am safe. I am truly blessed. And I'm truly blessed by all the gifts that are already on their way. Thank you, God. I love you. Take a deep breath into the heart and releasing. Another deep breath into the heart and releasing. Another deep breath into the heart. And releasing. You might wiggle your toes. And then very, very slowly take a few seconds and then open your eyes. I'm so very excited to be here. Reverend Darlene's one of my favorite ministers. I've known her for about 8 or 10 years, way back in Kansas. I went to visit her church in Seattle area. And the best way I can describe her is she sparkles. She has a little look that she gives you that sparkles, and it says everything about her. That you know she truly cares, and she's very profound, and all those wonderful things in that sparkle. And thank you so much for the music. The music was amazing, and I really appreciate it. It's from good music. It's always good. Today we're going to be talking about miracles. And scientists hate the idea of miracles, because when a miracle happens, it violates a law of nature. But the truth of the matter is, miracles happen all the time. Let me give you, especially in quantum physics, let me give you some examples. An object can't be in 2 different places at the same time, right? Wrong. If nobody's watching an electron when it's circling an atom, it magically turns into energy waves. So not only is it in 2 different places, it's all the different places at the same time. Here's another one, Einstein's law of relativity. You can't violate that one, right? The main pillar upon which that rests is the idea that nothing can go faster than the speed of light. And that's the main theory. Everything is dependent on that. Well, in 1931, 2 very famous physicists by the name of Schrödinger and Heidelberg proposed a theory called quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement's where, if you have a couple electrons circling an atom, if you were to separate them, even by 1,000,000 miles, if you were to push on one of them, the other would instantaneously go in the exact same direction. In fact, so instantaneously, it'd be faster than the speed of light. The reason for that is they're quantumly entangled, which means beyond time-space limitations. Einstein hated this theory. At one point, he called it spooky action at a distance. Seriously. This is how they joust and physicists joust, you know. And in 1981, Einstein was proven wrong. Then they redid the experiment 2 years ago in Switzerland. And not only did they find that 2 electrons communicated faster than the speed of light, it was 10,000 times faster than the speed of light. If you're going to break a law of nature, you might as well go all the way. But the spookiest thing in physics is the idea that consciousness itself is indeed the quantum field, the main creator of the whole universe. Now, this one was interesting. Those of you who saw the movie What to Bleep, there was an interesting experiment. They didn't do a good job of explaining it. They were shooting little electrons through a slit, and they were lining up in the back wall, remember? Well, there was an eye watching. The eye represented consciousness. And as long as the eye was watching, the electrons stayed electrons. But as soon as the eye went away, you saw 16 lines on the back wall. Now, how can one line turn into 16? That doesn't make any sense. Well, think of it this way. If you take a couple pebbles and you drop them in a pond, they produce waves. The waves hit each other, then they produce more waves, and then they hit each other, and pretty soon you got 16 waves. So what happens is this. When nobody is watching a particle, it turns into energy waves, and the energy waves hit each other, and they start creating new, different energy waves, and they create new energy waves. In other words, here's the bottom line. I'm trying to make it real simple so you can understand it, because it's kind of complex. So don't feel bad if you're not following this exactly. But here's the main principle. Consciousness collapses energy waves into particles. Without consciousness, you can't have particles. Without particles, you can't have people, you can't have stars, you can't have galaxies. So there has to be a form of consciousness in the universe which is collapsing all this stuff and creating all the matter that we see around us. Personally, I think physics discovered God. And interestingly enough, 80% of all physicists do believe in a higher power. Only 20% of psychologists do, which tells you the difference between the two sciences. So this is huge. This is huge. Now, here's the interesting thing. We got consciousness. Is our consciousness the same as that? Certainly is consciousness. There's been over 1,000 studies that prove that our consciousness has the same capabilities. I like to categorize them in 4 different groups, make it simple to organize. First one is the prayer research, which, by the way, Unity Church has been an active participant. One of the reasons I like Unity Church so much is they believed in their message so much so they subjected it to scientific scrutiny by participating in prayer research, which we'll talk about, one of my favorite studies coming up here in just a few minutes. The second group of research studies, very similar to the prayer research, is the research that I was involved with, that shows that groups of people meditating can actually make the world a better place by lowering crime rates, auto accidents, and even suicides, which is rampant right now. 123 people are killing themselves a day. We have a serious problem here. 23 soldiers are killing themselves a day. So this is not a good time to, we need to do something about all this stuff. And we have the capabilities to do it. So the third group of research studies is the research studies that shows that we can know things before they happen, which is truly quantum. And the fourth group is research studies that shows that consciousness can even influence machines. This is far out research from Princeton. Okay, so let's start with the prayer. Now, we're all familiar with the first prayer studies done way back in the 80s. And they'd pray for one ward of the hospital. They wouldn't pray for the surrounding wards. The ward they prayed for would get well faster, have lots less need for antibiotics, have better quality of life, and sometimes less deaths than the surrounding wards. Now, they did a bunch of these studies, and pretty soon, most scientists decided that this was bogus research. Because they said what was really going on is the people doing the praying happened to pick the ward of the hospital that had the best doctors and the best nurses. And they were really, really good at figuring out which of those wards had the best doctors and best nurses. And so eventually in 1988, they did the first double-blind study. And double-blind study is like the Cadillac version of research. It's as good as it gets. You pray for one group, you don't pray for the other group, you interspace them randomly through the hospital. That way nobody can say one ward has better nurses and doctors. And guess what? Same result as the other prayer research. And there's been well over 250 prayer studies done. That's a lot. And only a handful have come out insignificant, which is amazing. And finally, scientists said, okay, the research is overwhelming. We know what prayer is, according to scientists. Prayer is positive thinking. We got it figured out. But is prayer just positive thinking, or is it something else? We've got some people shaking their heads. They've heard of this before, maybe. All right. So now what they did was, let me give you an example. Because this is an interesting question. Is prayer just positive thinking, or is it something else? Well, they did a study like this. And Unity Church, by the way, was involved with this. And it was done in Kansas City, the home of Unity, with a hospital there. And what they did is they took everybody that came into the hospital, they prayed for one half of them, but didn't pray for the other half. But they didn't tell them they were praying for them. So let's say I'm sick, to give you an example. And let's say Reverend Darlene's praying for me and I get well faster. But she never told me that she was praying for me. If she didn't tell me, I didn't know, so there can't be any positive thoughts about it, right? Does that make sense? They did a whole study like this. Not even the doctors and nurses knew there was a study going on. And guess what? Same results. That meant that prayer is not just positive thinking, it's something else. This is amazing. Well, like I said, one of my favorite studies. Now, this blew a lot of people's minds, so they did another triple-blind study in Colombia. And they had people in Colombia, New York, praying for people in Korea. So all the prayers had to go through molten rock and whatever else is in the middle of the world and arrive at the right person in Korea. And the second interesting twist about this study was it was done on a women's in vitro fertilization clinic, women trying to get pregnant. And again, the women didn't know they were being prayed for. But what they found was the women who were being prayed for had a 50% greater chance of getting pregnant than the women who weren't being prayed for. Mind-boggling. Brings up a whole new dimension to the idea of immaculate conception. We won't touch that one here. So, but the spookiest thing about prayer is this. There is no energy emanating from our brains that can account for this. If you're praying for somebody 10 feet away, the electromagnetic field does not work that far. It basically doesn't get past our skull bones. So it's got to be one of those spooky action at a distance kinds of things. There's nothing that we can show that can account for these amazing results. So maybe it's a quantum kind of thing. There might be another way to look at it. Maybe we're all connected. Maybe we're all connected with some kind of consciousness, okay? Think about that one. That also relates back to the meditation research, the research that I was involved with. I did the first 3 studies that were done and published in mainstream journals way back in the 1980s. And we did 20 of these studies. And then we decided to do a demonstration project. We decided to take 4,000 transcendental meditators into Washington, D.C. and actually change the crime rates. And we predicted before we did it that it was going to happen. That's how sure we were it was going to happen. And we told the mayor, who was Mayor Barry, he was the cocaine mayor at that time. He was rehabilitated. He was a cool guy. And then the police chief. We told we told the newspapers. That's how sure we were. And if it didn't work, they would have poo-pooed all of our other research. So anyway, we came in there. We'd meet in this big, huge ballroom, all 4,000 of us. And it would be, we'd start about 7:30 or 8, and go all the way to about 1, and then take a break till 3 and come back till about 7. And while we were there, we'd be meditating. And I get this question all the time. You must have been thinking about crimes when you're meditating, right? She says, no, you're right. We never once thought about crimes. We never once thought about crimes. How can you reduce crimes without thinking about them? That doesn't make any sense, does it? It does make sense. I like that. You can take over. I'm going to go take a break. So yeah. What we did is we got out of the way. We let the divine flow through us. Charles Fillmore, one of my favorite quotes of him, he was one of the co-founders of Unity Church. Surrender the results. Surrender the results. When you surrender the results, you're getting out of the way. Because when you want something, what are you attracting? Lack. You don't have it. You're coming from a place of lack. In order to come from a place of abundance, you've got to be inside the divine. So that's the secret of all secrets. Surrender the results. When you're flowing with the divine, magical things happen. So this brings us to the next group of research studies that proves that our consciousness is capable of creating miracles. This one happened by accident. It was a study done about 12 years ago. It was a psychic study. A bunch of people in front of TVs, and they were trying to guess in advance what photograph was going to come up on the screen. And the photographs were one of 2 different types. One type was a person in a morgue, very gruesome photo. And the other type was beautiful Blue Ridge mountain scenes. And the people couldn't guess in advance which photographs would come up on the screen. But lucky for us, that was not the end of the story. Because the negative photograph was so gruesome, they decided to hook people up to something called a GSR machine. A GSR machine is a machine that measures anxiety in the body, very similar to a lie detector. And what they anticipated was there'd be a spike of anxiety every time the negative photo was presented. Well, guess what? They did indeed find the spike of anxiety. But the spike of anxiety did not happen after the negative photo. It happened before the negative photo. Before the negative photo. I'll have to repeat that. It didn't happen after, and it didn't happen before the positive photo. In other words, we knew what was going to happen before it happened. At least our body did, not our consciousness, our conscious mind. And you remember the old adage, I knew it in my gut? There's a lot of truth to that one. So nobody believed it, so they redid the experiment in another laboratory to see if it really worked. It worked in the next laboratory. Then they looked inside the brain. They find the whole brain would light up with anxiety with about 4 seconds before the actual photo was presented. Well, nobody did anything with this research for probably 10 years, until 2 years ago, a very famous psychologist by the name of Dr. Bem decided to revisit it. I've taught a lot of psychology class. He's in every psychology textbook. So he decided to redo the experiment. He did it 10 times. 9 of them came out significant. The chance of that happening by sheer chance alone is 1 in 4 billion. He submitted for publication at the Journal of Social Psychology, and it was admitted, but they had a big, huge caveat at the top of it. It says, we don't really think this is true. I mean, how can you know things before they happen? That doesn't make any sense. He said, he must have made a mistake. We can't figure out what he did wrong. Maybe you guys can help us out. So they submitted they studied exactly like that, and right now psychology is in a turmoil. Personally, I think it's a great thing. Psychology is finally entering the quantum age, beyond time, space limitations. Okay, now the next group of research studies is even more far out. This was done through a group from Princeton. And what they decided to do was they had a brilliant idea. If our consciousness is quantum-based, let's build a machine which is quantum-based and see if they can interact with each other. And that's what they did. They used cosmic radiation from outer space. Now, cosmic radiation from outer space is very, very reliable. In fact, you can run atomic clocks by it. They're very reliable. So the output from the machine is basically 10, 10, 10. Then they took college freshmen and had them concentrate on the machine to see if they could change the 1010 to 111 or 000. And after hundreds of thousands of trials, they found a significant but very, very weak effect. Personally, I don't know how they manage it. Remember, I was a college freshman. I could barely get out of bed, much less influence a quantum field random number generator. So anyway, so they did that. And then they had a brilliant idea. Let's put 4 or 5 of them together and see if the effect is stronger with a group effect. And that's what they found. The more people doing it, the stronger the effect. So then they put the machines out throughout the United States, throughout the whole world, as a matter of fact. And every time we do something together, like, for instance, watching the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. Billions of people watch that opening ceremonies. Machines go crazy. Instead of 1010, they do 111 or 000. Katrina, remember the hurricane, the tsunami? They have like 250 of these different episodes. Well, these machines were going on during 9/11. 2 amazing things happened during 9/11. First of all, the machines went crazy for 4 straight days. Nothing's been seen like that before. But the most amazing thing was the machines started going crazy 4 hours before 9/11 actually happened. That's before the terrorists got in the airplanes. In other words, we as a collective knew what was going to happen before it happened. This is mind-boggling kind of stuff. So what I've done, I've outlined 1,000 different studies in general, giving you basically the bottom line, kind of 25 words or less condensed version. So, yeah, exactly. So, and here's what we can conclude from all this. First of all, life after death. If our consciousness is quantum-based, if our consciousness is quantum-based rather than brain-based, then it means when the brain dies, our consciousness doesn't have to die. This is huge. In a roundabout way, science has proven that we have something called life after death, because we're quantum-based. Our consciousness is quantum-based. Pretty obvious at this point. Second of all, we're all connected. What we do in here is not just located in here, it's also located out there. Jill Bolte Taylor, she had a very intriguing experience. She had a stroke that shut down her left hemisphere. Now, what is the left hemisphere? The left hemisphere is the part of the brain that always is thinking, wanting, intending, right? When it shut down, that part stopped. And guess what? She had a mystical experience. So instead of being in agony, she was in ecstasy. She had traditional mystical experience. The first thing she said was, for the first time in my life, I wasn't alone. For the first time in my life, I wasn't alone. In other words, she felt connected with everybody. The boundaries, the differences that disappeared. This is huge. Because if we change ourselves, what this means is we're all connected, which is the third major point, is we're not helpless. We can change the outside world. And we're already doing it. Just the other day, I saw a new poll. 65% were now for gay marriage. Just 2 years ago, 65% were against it. This was not done by political means. This was done by a shift in the collective consciousness. There's no politics here. It shifted. Just like that, magical. We're responsible. We come together and meditate. We're not only helping ourselves, we're helping everybody. Just like those two electrons. When you push on one, the other one goes in the exact same direction. So by all means, try to make it to the World Day of Prayer. It's a very significant time. Good things always happen after the World Day of Prayer. So be sure to make it in here, and because so many people feel helpless. We're not helpless. To change the outside world, all the negativity, you've got to stop thinking negative thoughts yourself. You've got to become what you want the planet to become. I tell Democrats, send love to Republicans send love to... It's the only way it's going to work. Otherwise, we're doomed. So, but that's what these techniques do. They're going to help you get rid of fears. Said lastly, but not least, everybody in here has doubts at one time or another. Everybody. It is so refreshing to be living in a time when science is proving spirituality and washing away these doubts. We have a firm ground to stand on now. It's for sure. It's a wonderful time to be alive. Wonderful time to be alive. In fact, the most exciting time I've ever been alive. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to say a few things about the seminar. I've probably done 30,000 Unitics, people from Unity churches, and I've done hundreds of Unity churches all over the United States. And one of the questions I always ask all my classes are, how many people know what their problems are, but they keep making the same mistakes over and over again? Yeah, probably everybody, you're right. Everybody always raises their hand. Well, it's not your fault. These are old brain pathways. The good thing is we have the technology now to change brain pathways. But here's the problem. If consciousness creates realities, then so does our subconscious. So if we have doubts or fears in our subconscious, that's also creating realities. So without clearing out the subconscious, according to Bruce Lipton and Deepak Chopra, we're not going to be able to manifest very well. So that's what this class is all about. I'm going to teach you how to manifest the life of your dreams by clearing the subconscious. In order to get to the subconscious, we're going to have to use a kind of meditation. We're going to borrow from heart math, which is similar to what I just did with the church today. And then we're going to use inner child technique in a unique way to go after this subconscious doubt so that we can actually love our stuff. Because when you think you have a problem, that's a negative thought about yourself. So you run into that problem too. So the only way to do it is to love yourself unconditionally. But the problem is there's a lot of fear. So what these techniques do is they quiet the fear part of the brain down. And we're going to teach you how to surrender to get out of the way. So it'll be a 2-day class. If you can't make both days, you're allowed to come to one. Tomorrow, if you can't make today's class, come at 5:30 so we can catch up. It goes till 9:30. And ideally, take both days if you can, but if you can't, it's not a big deal. If you can't make either class, then we have CDs and DVDs out there. You can take the class home with you. The main thing is, this class will be life transforming. So I'm excited about being here and coming back to this part of the country. I was here about 10 years ago, not in this church, but another church. So I'm excited about, I really, really love these mountains. This is really nice up here. It's a little cooler than down there when I flew in Durham, Raleigh. So yeah, it's really nice. I waltzed into Asheville, and it was almost like a mountain town that's, like, it's like everybody was there. It's really cool. It's like a community. Definitely like a new age community. So that's what I liked about it. Anyway, I'm excited about being here, and I'll look forward to seeing you maybe this afternoon or tomorrow evening. Thanks again for inviting me. All right.
Thank you so much for that mind-boggling, mind-expanding message. And I'd like to invite all of us to join in thanking Dr. Landrith with our unity blessing. So let's rub our hands together and extend our love to him. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for extending your presence with us for the next 2 days. Thanks. So we've come now to our time of offering, and I'd like to invite the ushers to come forward. And as we're preparing to share our money with this community so that we can continue to do this work in the world, this is also a time of sharing ourselves. So if you just would go back to that place in your heart that Dr. Landrith took us to, and take a moment to breathe into that and to know what it is that you have to offer the world. To know what it is that you are going to be giving this morning and taking this morning out into the world. And as we do that, let's share this affirmation together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. I am now in perfect balance and flow with the universal tides of giving and receiving. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Y'all can clap.
I've got a feeling everything will be alright. Oh, I've got a feeling everything's gonna be alright. Oh, I've got a feeling everything's gonna be alright. Be alright. Be alright. Be alright. My mother told me everything's gonna be alright. Oh, my mother told me everything's gonna be alright. Oh, my mother told me everything's gonna be alright. Be alright. Be alright. Be alright. I feel it in my spirit. Everything's gonna be alright. Oh, I feel it in my spirit. Everything's gonna be alright. Oh, I feel it in my spirit. Everything's gonna be alright. Be alright. Be alright. Be alright. Don't be discouraged. Everything's gonna be alright. Oh, don't be discouraged. Everything's gonna be alright. Oh, don't be discouraged. Everything's gonna be alright. Be alright. Be alright. Be alright. now. Gonna be alright, be alright, be alright, be alright. Gonna be alright, 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 gonna be alright. I got a feeling everything's gonna be alright. Oh, I've got a feeling everything's gonna be alright. Oh, I've got a feeling everything's gonna be alright. Be alright, be alright, be alright. Be alright, be alright, be
Thank you, Rhoda Weaver, and the Unity of the Blue Ridge Band. Dave, Richard, Bill, and Pete. Thanks. Everything is going to be all right. And to help with that, one of our prayer chaplains, John, is going to come forward with our prayer box, and our ushers are coming forward with the gifts that you've shared. And as John comes forward, this is a reminder that we do have a prayer box out front every week where we invite you to put in your prayers. We have a prayer team that holds those confidentially for you, and then we send them to Silent Unity where they're held for 30 days. And our prayer chaplains are also in the prayer chapel outside this door every Sunday to pray with you in whatever way you would like to be prayed with. So let's take a deep breath and let's bless these gifts. We settle into a deep gratitude for this day, for this time, for this community. We know that these gifts that we've offered of money are symbolic of the commitment we have to this community to be a place of inspiration so that we can be inspiring in our world. So we bless these gifts, and we bless all the gifts of our hearts that we are taking out from this place today, knowing that we can make a difference, that we are not helpless, that our energy and our vibration and our beautiful love can flow out through us, blessing this world, blessing the people we meet. And so we say, thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. And one of the ways we bless the world is by believing that we are the peace the world needs. So let's stand and join together for our final peace song.
Yay for us. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.